Okay, this is minimum. So if you getting the number is more than this number, they're not able to form the mask. Okay, so anyway, we can depend on what we need. Okay, you can set the range of the RSSI. Maximum the number of mask link that can be established on a single MP, the mask point. Now sometimes we need to do that to prevent some of the unauthorized MP try to connect it. So we better set a number to inform every single MP that's how many MP can able to connect it. The interval at which an MP report the mask link information to an AC. Okay, how long are you going to send a report? So we can set a setting from here. By default, it will go to using the 30 seconds. Okay, the default mask profile, you use the default profile. So this is the configuration node. So we need to understand, right, what model can support the mask function. So when you purchase a product, you can try to ask on the salesman, so check with them whether this product can able to support the mask function or not. So for the WMN, we can choose configure mask or WDS. The radio configure with the WIDS. Because normally for one AP, we can configure the different radio. So is the radio already configured the WIDS or spectrum analysis, or maybe the WLAN location? All those radios cannot support the mask function. So please make sure using the mask function in the radio that never assigned with all of those features on the top here. The mask link might fail to be established when the radio calibration is performed on the CAPWAP interval is changed. Yes, this is true. When you want to configure the mask link, try to take note. Don't enable the calibration at the same time, because the calibration you have to do the auto power adjust. When you're doing the power adjust, because for all the AP they connected to the same AP group, they will start the calibration. So when they detect right now these two AP they can able to detect each other. That means right now the coverage area is reached to each other. So to prevent the power wastage, so they're going to reduce the power level. When they reduce the power level, the coverage area will be shortened. For the full mask, they always make sure all the AP coverage area can be reached to each other. But the calibration, they do the reverse way. They want to make sure the coverage area from the different AP, they never reach to each other because they want to reduce the interference in the current location. So that's recommended when you're doing the mask link. Try to don't configure with the calibration together. When two MPPs are deployed, or the MPP and the MP connect to the wire network, ensure the loop prevention. Yeah, so this one we also need to consider about, because when we form the redundant in the network, the loop might occur. The node number 2. So it's recommended that you deploy not more than 20 mesh node on a WMN and deploy 10 MP per square kilometer. So this is recommended. If more mesh nodes are required, divide the coverage area into the smaller area to form different mesh network. So you are not advised to start access to VAP on an MPP. Because normally why we do it by this way, because when we're using the MPP to form the point to multipoint, full mesh, or maybe the star networking, this AP they actually trying to form multi-connection with so many MP. So we're not going to using this MPP to provide the access to the terminal. Okay, to ensure the high throughput and better user experience, the 5 GHz frequency band channel with the better radio quality are often used as a backhaul channel. The reason why because 5 GHz channel is seldom used by the terminal, so that's why it's highly recommended. And the 5 GHz they got so many usable channel, so many channel we can select one of the non-open channel become our main one to reduce the interference from the core channel. Note number 3, the hop count limitation. The best deployment method is to use a 5 GHz radio as a backhaul radio. Yes, this is like the previous slide what they mentioned. Forming a single band backhaul, the technical performance calculation formula is 1 divided n. So the n specifies the number of the hop, okay, depending on how many hop. So this formula shows the performance is inversely proportional to the number of the hop. So in this case, the maximum number of the 4 hop is recommended. In the next one, the HD40 and the HD20. At the backhaul layer, 5 GHz radio are often used. And the HD40, so the HD40 over here actually is referred to the channel binding. Okay, those of the channel binding can able to increase the bandwidth. So it's recommended to provide a high backhaul rate. And the access layer, many handheld devices do not support the HD40 mode. Okay, not many devices can able to support that. So that's why this is recommended. And the HD40 mode is seldom used on 2.4. The reason why because of the 5 GHz frequency band, they have so many non-overlapping area. So they allow us to do the channel binding. Even we do the channel binding in the 5 GHz, they also cause the less interference in the same channel. But this one doesn't apply to the 2.4. The 2.4 only have 3 non-overlapping area. When we try to do the HD40 rate, what we call the channel binding mode in the 2.4 GHz frequency band, so they have some problem because they only have 3 non-overlapping area. So once we do the channel binding in this frequency band, so yes, we can achieve the high bandwidth when doing the data transmission, but it will cause the high interference. So normally when we deploy the mesh technology over here, we are not recommended using the HD40 in 2.4 GHz. Networking requirement. So right here you can see the network design is called the linear networking. So it's just point-to-point network only. So over here, all the MP is connected to the access layer, and they can able to provide the internet access to all the SDA. And everyone is managed by the single AC. So now we're going to start the configuration. So as usual, we just configure all the profile that we need in the AC first. So after we done everything already, now we can perform the mesh configuration. So as usual, I'm going to create a AP group. So just give the name over here just in case you forget. So I would like to using the mesh MPP here. So this profile I'm going to use for my MPP AP. Right here, I'm not going to using a radio number 0 anymore because the previous one, the radio 0, is already used for the service. Okay, those of the service access for the client. So now I'm going to use a second radio. So I put radio 1. I need to make sure this radio 1 is not being used by another WIDS detection, like the air scanning mode, or maybe the calibration. So please make sure this radio haven't bind with any of all the features that I mentioned just now. Okay, radio 1. So I would like to select the channel 157. I'm using the HD40. And we also can set the coverage distance. So using a command coverage distance. Okay, don't forget to return to the WLAN view using the command wire port profile. Okay, just keep the name over there because this is first time we create this profile. So every time when we create a new profile, please remember give the name. So try to tell this AP, the MPP, what VLAN that you're going to use. Okay, the VLAN tag 101. Okay, now we have done on create a profile. So the next one, don't forget to configure the security profile. As usual, we just create a security profile, give a name there. So I put a mask dash with set. Okay, this is a security profile used by the mask. And we're going to select the WPA2 here, followed by the pre-share key. Okay, now it's already successful to configure the security profile. We need to touch on the whitelist. Because when all the AP belong to the same network, all the AP is allowed to send the beacon frame, the broadcast in the surrounding. So if we never put the whitelist over here, it's very dangerous. That means my MPP, you're going to accept any AP at this moment. So everyone will become my MP. So it's too dangerous already. Don't take the risk here. So please list down all the MAC address from your AP that want to form the mesh connection. Okay, right here, example, I have 3 AP I want to form the connection. So I already record down all the MAC address here. So I go into the mesh wireless profile. Okay, I give a name mesh list. Okay, or you can just name it as a mesh wireless WL. So use the command peer AP followed by MAC address. Just give the MAC address here, then enter. The follow-up one will be configure the role they use by the MPP. So you might need to go to the WLAN builder and using the command AP system profile. Okay, system profile. So right here, I'm going to use a mesh porter. Okay, then the next one. Return to the WLAN view again. Now we create a mesh profile. Okay, finally we create a mesh profile. After we create a mesh profile, we can try to rename the mesh ID name. Okay, the mesh ID name. Because when we didn't give the ID name over here, right, you're going to use the default. And the default here for the mesh ID, right, they name it as Huawei WLAN mesh. Okay, this is a default name used by the Huawei AC. So if you want to name it to another name, you use the mesh ID here. Then followed by the aging time. Okay, the link aging time. Okay, you can set the timer. So what is the security profile you want to use for this mesh profile? So previously we already configured the security over previous one. So we just buy the security profile over here. Okay, I'm going to use a mesh set. And don't forget about the whitelist. Okay, we put the whitelist inside the profile here. Next step, create the AP group. Okay, I give the name here is the mesh MPP again. Okay, radio 1. So this one is for all the AP group when they receive. So I put the mesh wireless profile mesh list. So only the MAC address inside this wireless is allowed to form the mesh link connection. Okay, then follow up, we create using a command wire port profile, wire port, and then the uplink interface. And then we create one more AP group, and the AP group I'm going to name it as the mesh MP. And this one I'm going to use by all the MP. Then the follow-up one, I'll go back to my AP group, name mesh MPP. I select AP system profile called mesh system. Okay, this is previous one what I configure. Then follow up the mesh profile. We select radio 1. Radio 1. Okay, same. Just now we already configured the radio 1 setting. So do it to the 2 different AP group here. The first AP group named mesh MPP. We're going to use the command mesh profile mesh net radio 1. and send to the mass MP group. So and here is the command to check all the current connected AP. We use the command called display AP all. So you can see from here all the connected AP MAC address. So right now this AP is belong to what state? Okay, or maybe what's the group name? So my first one is belong to the MPP, the gateway for every single MP. And I also have the MP. And you would like to see the state here is always shown in the normal. Okay, this means right now in the good condition, so they are connected right now. The link is out. So to check all the radio ID, the DBI, and also the single strand, so we can use the command display WLAN mass link followed by all. Okay, because you want to check all the single strand from the different AP. So this is a summary over here. The WLAN implementation. So what is the application? We're going to use the WLAN. And the last one is the configuration.